I've spent my whole life surrounded by people everyone called stars, yet none of them ever taught me what light actually feels like, until you walked in and turned the darkness honest. I didn't realize I was living in the dark because it felt normal to me, but the moment you looked at me, everything I accepted enough suddenly felt painfully dim. I thought admiration was brightness, attention was warmth, and applause was light. Then you showed up and exposed how cold and shadowed my world truly was. I've stood next to people who shined for the world, yet I was invisible to myself until you made me see how much of me had been asleep. It's strange how you didn't arrive with fireworks or noise, yet somehow you illuminated every corner I had learned not to look at. I mistook familiarity for light, comfort for clarity, but you shattered that illusion by simply being real with me. Everyone else sparkled from a distance, but you were the first presence that reached inside me and switched something on. I didn't know I was surviving instead of living until your honesty exposed how much of my life was just practiced darkness. I've applauded brilliance, praised beauty, and chased glow, but none of it mattered once I realized you were the first truth I could actually see. You didn't blind me with light. You taught my eyes how to adjust after years of emotional night. I was surrounded by stars, yes, but stars don't warm you when you're freezing inside, and you did. It hurts to admit that I confused admiration with illumination, because knowing you means accepting how lost I truly was. Us. You didn't save me, you revealed me to myself, and that realization was more terrifying than the darkness ever was. I lived in rooms full of glowing people, yet my soul stayed unlit until you stood quietly beside it. I never feared the dark until you showed me what light feels like. And now I know what I've been missing. Everyone else shined outward, performing for the world, while you lit something inward I didn't know existed. I used to think darkness was peace because it was familiar, but you made me restless for something real. You didn't arrive as a miracle. You arrived as a mirror, and that's what changed everything. I've chased brilliance my whole life, only to realize clarity matters more, and you gave me that without trying. Loving you feels like learning how much of my life I spent emotionally blind. You didn't glow for attention. You illuminated me by existing honestly, and that difference still shakes me. I was proud of surviving the dark until you made me question why I ever settled for it. It's unsettling how one person can rewrite your understanding of light without raising their voice. I didn't need more stars. I needed a sunrise. And somehow you were that. The scariest part isn't realizing I lived in darkness. It's knowing I chose it because I didn't believe I deserved more. You didn't promise me forever. You showed me reality, and that was brighter than any fantasy. I was drawn to shine, but I stayed because of warmth, and you are the first person who offered that. Everyone else dazzled my eyes. You awakened my awareness. I mistook intensity for light until your calm presence revealed the difference. You didn't rescue me from the dark. You taught me how to leave it myself. I used to think light was loud, dramatic, and overwhelming, but you arrived quietly and changed everything. Being with you feels like stepping outside after years underground, unsure whether to squint or cry. I never questioned my darkness until you stood there, unafraid of it. You showed me that stars are beautiful, but they don't guide you home. Truth does. I didn't know clarity could hurt this much or heal this deeply. I thought I was whole until your presence revealed how much of me was numb. You didn't demand my attention, you earned my awareness. I lived my life celebrating brightness, never realizing I was starving for meaning. Knowing you feel like finally understanding why everything else felt slightly wrong. You didn't change my world, you revealed it. I used to fear the dark because I didn't understand it. Now I fear returning to it because I finally understand light. Everyone else impressed me. You confronted me. I didn't fall for your shine. I fell for your truth. And that's what rewired me. You showed me that light isn't about being seen. It's about seeing clearly. I mistook distraction for brightness until your presence demanded honesty. You didn't glow louder than others. You glowed deeper. I never realized how dim my standards were until you raised my awareness without saying a word.